All right, guys, so I think I mentioned before in a previous video, one of the pros and cons, one of the biggest cons, of course, is it gets hot here. I'm just gonna grab this. I'm not sure if it's mirror image or not, but if you can read that, it's 113 degrees here in Chandler, Arizona. And in this video, I'm gonna give you guys a driving tour of Chandler and Gilbert, so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like driving around here. So if you've never been here, or if it's been a long time, you kind of maybe not quite sure, what the area looks like. We're gonna tour, downtown Chandler. We're gonna check out the Fashion Square Mall Shopping Center, Price Corridor, where there's over 700 companies and large corporate campuses. We're gonna cruise around some neighborhoods and some parks, and just generally give you a really good idea of what it looks like just driving around here to get a sense for the area. All right, so right now we are actually at my office, which is at 55 North Arizona Place in downtown Chandler, and so that's where we're leaving from. The parking lot's a little empty. This is recorded right after the 4th of July weekend, so this is what, Wednesday, Thursday? So it's a little bit of a lighter in the parking lot. Normally this is completely full, but a lot of people took more of the week off for the holiday weekend. So we are right here in historic downtown Chandler. So this is a really cool spot to just come out and hang out. As you can see, you got a lot of older shops and wine bars. Right up here on the left is one of my favorite spots, Murphy's Law. That pink car, if you can see it up there, that's Recreo. That's a pretty cool restaurant. They have a pretty eclectic menu of different types of food, things going on. But yeah, as you can see, it's not dead. People are out and about. All of these restaurants are full of people. Although with the hot weather right now, there isn't a lot of people sitting outdoors. This is definitely tonight for sure. You'll see, people sitting on these patios because the hot sun's gone down. It'll be, closer to 100 or in the 90s. So not so extreme, and it's more comfortable. But let's just turn into this parking lot. So this is the San Marcos Golf Resort. This was the first golf course actually ever built in Arizona. The hotel is definitely a historic landmark. It's been well maintained, and it's a great place to stay. If you're thinking about exploring Chandler or Gilbert for your future home. So I would recommend it for a good base camp to drive around. So we're here hanging a right on Arizona Ave. We got a guy crossing the crosswalk up here. Looks like he's already clear, so we'll just keep on rolling through here. But yeah, the biggest thing I kind of want people to know, especially when it's as hot as it is that life is going on. So if you're coming from a cold weather place, like I used to live in North Dakota for about 10 years, and even at 20, 30 below zero, people go to the grocery store, they go shopping, they go out to dinners, they go out for a drink, they do, all of the things. And just like right now, it's literally no different. This is pretty normal traffic. I'd say maybe a little bit slightly less busy than normal, just because it is following during a holiday weekend. So we're gonna head now to the 202 freeway. We're gonna jump on the freeway and then head over to Chandler Fashion Center Mall, which is definitely, it's the second busiest and biggest mall in Arizona, second only to the mall in Scottsdale, Old Town. It's definitely got some really nice high-end shopping. It's clean, it's awesome, lots of restaurants. It's not a rundown, suburbia mall that, a lot of us maybe have seen in other parts of the country, or for that matter, even other parts of Arizona. I know I was heading down to Tucson, about 3 hours south of here one time, and off to the west side of the I-10 freeway, there's a defunct shopping center out there. I don't really know the history or story on it, but, as you'll see, it's pretty well maintained. And let's head over there right now. All right, so for downtown Chandler, literally right up here ahead of us is the 202 freeway. This freeway, I think, was finished back in 2006, so it's relatively new, and it's a giant loop freeway. So if you're looking at Google Maps, you can see where it goes, but we're gonna go ahead and head west on the 202 for about 3 miles over into West Chandler, which is where you'll find the Fashion Center Mall amongst, a bunch of neighborhoods and an Intel Fab campus and more, of course. So let's head over there. One thing about driving, especially in the freeways here, people drive really fast. So I'm in the far right lane, and we're currently going, well, the speed limit officially is 65, but I'm going with the flow of traffic, and I'm set right at 70 right now. Over here in the far left lane, especially the HOV, they're probably cruising around 85. The reality is I don't ever see, not ever, I mean, it's very rare that you see people pulled over for speeding. It does happen, but cultural problem or whatever you want to call it, the reality is speeding is definitely a way of life driving here, so you're gonna have to definitely get comfortable with that. But as you can see, it flows. I'm gonna go ahead and make a left lane change here. And like I mentioned, I'm going with the flow of traffic. I'm in the right in the middle lane, and I'm going 80 or 75 right now, maybe pushing closer to 80. And this is totally, you know, normal and acceptable behavior. I mean, obviously a police officer and the law doesn't agree, but you know, look at that guy, hauling ass. Anyway, aggressive, fast driving is just the way it is. I mean, there's a lot of accidents because of it, I'm guessing. You know, knock on wood, I haven't been in one, but you know, you definitely want to just be aware of that. So here we are on the 101 loop. So we went from the 202 onto the 101. Chandler Boulevard is right underneath of us. And I'll be honest, I got distracted. I have another phone here for the directions, which I'm trying to record a screen share to put this in the video, but I dropped that. So we're gonna get off here at Ray Road and do a quick 180 and head back over to Chandler so we can get off at the mall exit. If you stay on this freeway, we're on the 101 North, it'll take you up through Scottsdale, and then it bends around to the west over the north edge of Phoenix and back over up into Peoria, and then it heads and turns back south again. So basically, it's a loop around the majority of the core Phoenix area, whereas the 202 loop loops around Chandler, Gilbert, and Mesa. Not kidding, it is warm. I mean, I've got tinted windows, the AC is on blast, and actually a note on that, if you're not familiar with the Arizona heat and driving here, on your car, you've got a little button that has a picture of a car with a C on it. That's to circulate the existing air inside the cab of your car. So when it's really hot like this, in order to, you know, let your AC system be a little bit more efficient and to actually keep you cool while you're driving, you're gonna want that button on. That way it's not pulling air from the outside to then try and cool it down to an acceptable temperature. You're taking the existing air inside the car and just re-cooling it. So it actually will get a little cooler. And when it's 113 degrees and you're cruising like this, every one of these cars, you know, probably set up, that guy's got his windows down. Maybe his AC is not working, or maybe he just likes to sweat, but it is warm. One of the things you might have already noticed, the roads and infrastructure here are just top of the line. Everything is well maintained, wide roads, lots of lanes to support all of these cars. There's nothing worse than sitting in stop and go traffic. And while there are some areas of the Phoenix Metro that is a reality, especially during rush hour, it's not all of the time. You know, there's definitely a key point in time in the morning going one direction typically, and in the afternoon heading the other, depending on, you know, the traffic patterns. But all right, so we're gonna get off here at Chandler Boulevard, which dumps us basically right here at Chandler Fashion Square Mall. We'll do a quick drive around just to see some of the major anchor tenants. We're not gonna actually go inside. In fact, on another video, Living in Chandler, I do give a tour of the inside of that mall and some other ideas so you can kind of see firsthand what that looks like. Now, one of the biggest things I love about it is, besides the fact that it's clean and new and really nice, depending on where you're coming from. So like I said, I lived in North Dakota for 10 years. We didn't have any homeless people there for natural reasons. The reality is every winter it gets so freaking cold there that if there is anybody that's in a homeless state, if they try to stay that way, they would literally freeze to death. It gets 20 below zero. So there wasn't much of a homeless issue where I was. Here in Phoenix, well, growing up, I grew up in the Seattle area originally, and I know it's a huge major issue now today. It wasn't as bad when I was a kid, but here, yeah, there are areas of, especially in the city of Phoenix, that there is homelessness, but it's not really a big thing here. As we drive around, the likelihood that we'll see a homeless person or somebody begging on the corner, it's pretty low, especially today with the heat at 114. Nobody's gonna wanna stand out in that heat if you don't have to. But you can go out to the shopping mall with your family, go to the movie theater, you know, do any of these things and not have to be accosted or, you know, bothered by someone. And it's just, you know, really, really cool. So here we got Macy's. Macy's is a major tenant or a major anchor of this mall. It's super clean and new. Well, it's not brand new by any means, but they keep it updated. It's a very, you know, well-maintained store. Dillard's. Dillard's isn't everywhere through the country, but it's basically, it's another department store where they have a little bit of everything, similar to what you'd expect to find at a Macy's or, you know, Nordstrom. I wouldn't consider it in the Nordstrom category as far as like customer service. They're not terrible by any means, but it's just not, you know, that upper level over the top service. It's just good. It's good what you get, and most people aren't disappointed. Let's go, let's see here, where do I want to take you guys? I'm gonna go ahead and head left here, just so we can kind of cruise up this parking lot, give you an idea of what this situation looks like. Let's see if this guy keeps going or not. Pro tip, it's worth walking a little distance when you can park your vehicle in the shade of one of these trees. You can come back to your car and it's not quite as hot. It doesn't take quite as long to cool off. Maybe this guy's lost, or I'll give him some space. All right, let's go. So up here at the top, we've got Cheesecake Factory, If you're not familiar with them, it's a really popular chain throughout the US. They have a number of restaurant locations here in the Phoenix metro area. Barnes & Noble, you got your Pottery Barn. But here specifically, if you're coming from the Midwest or you're watching from the Midwest, guaranteed you know Scheels. Well, Scheels is now coming to Arizona. This is the first store. It is massive. They got a Ferris wheel inside, big fish tank area. I've just seen some of their social media posts, but I haven't been in there yet. I have to look up and see when the actual grand opening is, but that's definitely coming soon. Anyway, if you're not familiar with Scheels, it's basically like Outdoor World or Dick's Sporting Goods, but on steroids. They have literally everything you can imagine for outdoor sporting goods. But here we'll finish doing a loop around. Oops, that was my bad. That was a three-way stop and I didn't stop. Didn't even see the stop sign. That was, whoops. Fall of 2023. So this is summer right now. So it looks like it's coming closer to completion. So they didn't set the date yet as far as I know, but fall is really not that far away. It's currently July of 2023 as we're filming this. There is one major vacancy tenant. I think this used to be a Sears back when Sears was a thing. So up here on the left, you can see an empty storefront. They're talking about bringing some sort of an entertainment type of tenant in here. I haven't heard any official updates, but I imagine it might be something like a Dave & Buster's, something that family can go hang out and play. Crayola experience is super cool. Like I said in my another video, we did living in Chandler, and you can kind of get a glimpse of that. Buffalo Wild Wings, you get the Harkins Theater. It's a really clean, good quality mall. They say, you know, if a mall is doing well, then the economy nearby is probably doing really well too. I mean, people don't, you know, in a bad economy or in a bad area that jobs are scarce, there's not a lot of disposable income. And I'm telling you, when it's 112 degrees out, this parking lot right now is just as packed as ever, and maybe even more so on a weeknight like this, just because anybody who does have time to go play, you can walk around indoors and hang out, enjoy the mall, get your walking in, and you know, enjoy a nice 75 degrees or wherever they keep it at. All right, now speaking of the economy, the Phoenix Metro as a whole is super diverse as far as the types of jobs and what is all going on, but I want to take you guys now to South Chandler. We're gonna go down Price Road, which is also called the Price Corridor. We're gonna take a quick peek at some of the large corporate campuses down there. In fact, there's over 700 companies in that small stretch. We're gonna head there right now. Over here, you got the Sicilian Butcher, Panera Bread. Sicilian Butcher is pretty cool. They got some pretty cool like meatballs. I guess that's the best way to explain it. So right now, guys, we are on Price Road, and I'm not sure if you can see that sign up ahead on the right, just right behind that light post there, but they call this the Price Corridor, and you'll see here in a minute just how many large corporate type campuses and office buildings there are, full of all kinds of high-tech engineering and business systems and management companies. You have large financial institutions like Toyota Financial Services. I'm not sure if it's like for the whole country or just, you know, a regional thing, but it's a massive facility nonetheless where they manage, you know, financing cars, and they've got the Wells Fargo Banking Center, which is, I've heard it's going to become a headquarters here in the area pretty soon, but it's already a massive facility full of people. But yeah, over 700 companies right here on this stretch, and I'll just go ahead and drive through and let you guys see what's going on. Got numerous hotels left and right. CVS Health has major companies and offices here. Venture Employee Solutions, I believe it's like an HR company. Northrop Grumman has a very large footprint here. They're a government contractor. So right to my left here is an office. Up ahead, you got another one, Northrop Grumman, Voya. Toyota Financial Services, you got medical offices. General Motors has a large research facility. That building's up here on the left, of course, as well as their financial office, but they do have a lot of automotive research and engineering here as well. Now we're coming up in the distance. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bunch of tower cranes up in the air. That's probably the largest employer in the area, and it's definitely the one that put high tech on the map here for Chandler. Intel Corporation is massive out here. There's about 12,000 employees between their two Chandler campuses for semiconductor manufacturing. Data centers are also a massive draw here, especially because we have such low price electricity compared to other parts of the country. Of course, there's land available and, you know, a high-tech area to work for. So Continuum, Cypress One, On Track, which is a shipping company, their signs are over here on the left. Wells Fargo Center is up here on the right. They've got a very beautiful looking building. And as we travel further south here, we're getting closer and closer to the Intel campus. And as far as the residential areas, this is what we call the Ocotillo area. There is the Ocotillo Golf Club, but you know, pretty much anywhere that's nearby or surrounding the golf club really is kind of considered quote unquote Ocotillo. Of course, this is Queen Creek Road right in front of us, but you know, Ocotillo is a crossroad. You might notice these fountains and all these sprinklers and water, and you've heard stories about, well, don't you guys live in the desert? Where is all this water coming from? Well, especially down here, specifically in this area, all of this green, all these trees and all the water, it's all recycled water. So there's a sewer treatment plant nearby where, you know, all the sewage goes for treating, and then it gets cleaned and treated and bacteria is eliminated and all those things, and then it gets pumped out here to be able to have nice green grass right here in the middle of the desert. It hasn't rained in over 60 days, and it only rains, I think, maybe 30 days a year, something like that. Lots of orange cones. Since the weather, it never really freezes here, so there's road construction and work being done year round, but that's also one of the reasons why the roads here are so nice. You're not forced to do it just during a summer season. So, you know, as much as people always want to complain, I personally think they do a pretty good job. Anyway, up here on the right-hand side is the Intel Ocotillo campus. Definitely have the street dug up here, so we don't want to drive off this edge. They're doing a major expansion. I think $10 billion they're spending to expand the fabs and manufacturing facilities over here, especially with the CHIPS Act. You know, the federal government's dumping tons of subsidies and you know, using their leverage to promote and hold the American semiconductor industry up. I know there's a lot of politics around that. I read something recently that says, you know, the last 50 years of American history or politics were really controlled by who produces oil, and some predict that the next 50 years are who produces the computer chips. So there's a lot of emphasis nationwide, not only here in Arizona, on promoting the semiconductor industry, but here in Chandler and the Gilbert area, there's definitely a lot of that. The economy here is, I won't say based on that because it's such a diverse economy, but it definitely is a very strong piece of, you know, what powers this entire area and provides all the jobs and everything else that goes into creating such a affluent community. So now we're on Ocotillo. We're gonna head east for a little bit. We're currently in Chandler, but we're going to, you know, quickly cross over into Gilbert. And I want you guys just to kind of see what the landscaping looks like, you know, what the roads look like, just kind of observing, you know, what things are looking like here so that you have a good idea of what it looks like. A lot of, you know, people think that being down here in the desert means there's sand everywhere, and the reality is, as you can see, that's, you know, we're not in the Sahara Desert of Africa. This is the Phoenix Metro. So this is the Ocotillo area, crossing over Alma School Road. So that was Ocotillo and Alma School if you're looking on Google Maps and trying to figure out where this is. A lot of gated communities in this area. So in future videos, I'll be doing a lot of driving tours and you know, otherwise touring so you can see what's behind these gates. Because if you're just driving here right now, if you don't live there or have business being there, it's not something that you can just go in and take a look around. So that's something that you could expect. So make sure that, you know, if you haven't already done so, make sure you click that subscribe button and tap the bell to get notified every time we put out another video. You know, that way, you know, you'll be notified immediately and be able to stay in tune and in touch. And I don't have to remind you guys, but if you are thinking about moving or relocating here to Chandler, Gilbert, or anywhere else here in the Phoenix Metro, pick up the phone, give me a call, shoot me an email, send a text message, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when moving here to Chandler, Gilbert, and the greater Phoenix area. So Fulton Ranch is one of the most luxurious communities in the area. They have a special area called the Island. Lots of very, very large executive homes, and they're not coincidentally on an island. So one way in, one way out. It's funny, a lot of people think that all of the most luxurious homes and the nicest area to live in the Phoenix Metro is in Scottsdale. Now, don't get me wrong, Scottsdale is very nice. There's a lot of affluence there, a lot of money in Scottsdale, but what people that aren't familiar with the area kind of overlook is that here, and especially South Chandler and going over to South Gilbert, which is where we're headed towards now, there are so many beautiful large gated communities, master plan communities. This is where all the new money is going. So, you know, Scottsdale has the brand name recognition. They have all the really large, high publicity events like the PGA golf tournament. You know, they got the Arabian Horse Show. They've got the Barrett-Jackson car show. But down here in Gilbert and Chandler, if you don't want to live around all of those touristy things, and you want to live in a really nice area that isn't, you know, like I said, crawling with tourists, this is it. There is a lot of very, very beautiful private neighborhoods and homes in the area. It's comfortable here. This is pretty typical traffic right here. This is what you could expect. Speed limits are 45 on all these surface streets on these arterials, which are spaced out 1 mile apart. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of what you can expect. Everything down here is very new. You know, 20, 30 years ago, everything you see here was basically farmland, irrigated farmland, of course. And over the last couple of decades, it just keeps getting developed and built out. And you know, this used to not be an attractive area, but it's quickly become a place where, you know, it's funny, especially the really high-end neighborhoods. If you're not coming from California, a lot of these people that have moved here recently are coming from Scottsdale, because you can sell your Scottsdale home, which is probably quite old at this point. There's not a lot of new construction up there by any means, you know, remodels for sure. But you come down here and for $1.5 million, or if you want to go higher, 2, 3, 4, it's absolutely stunning what you can get and what you can find and where you can call home, especially with these mountain views. Not sure you can see it here in the camera. On the right-hand side, that's the Santan Mountains. Gorgeous. All right, so for those of you that are following along with the map, we are at Ocotillo, heading west, and we're about to cross over McQueen. So the next spot I was thinking about taking you guys is to the Gilbert Regional Park, which is in South Gilbert. It's really close to a lot of really nice neighborhoods, including Seville Golf and Country Club. You've got Power Ranch nearby. And it's kind of like the last piece of Gilbert before you go into Queen Creek, where there's a ton of new construction down there. In this video, we won't be touring that, but I do have other videos on this channel, so make sure you subscribe. Go over and check out some of the other videos on this channel, so you can kind of get a more in-depth view of some of these neighborhoods, especially for Gilbert. I did a video recently that shows the top 7 new construction communities where you can tour all the model homes. You can see what neighborhood is what. It's a really great video, so if you're thinking about moving this direction, you're gonna definitely wanna watch that one. But even better yet, just give me a call, shoot me an email, send me a text, just connect with me if you're thinking about moving this direction, and I can get you whatever resources you'd like. Of course, if you're looking to move here and to make a purchase, I am a full-time real estate broker with an amazing small team of professionals, so that we do work as a team. We talk about all of our clients every day, so that if one of us is out of town, or, you know, God forbid, want to have some time with family or something like that, everybody else is in place to help cover each other. So our clients are never in a situation where they can't get a hold of their agent or the team in general. But here we are crossing over Cooper. That's Ocotillo and Cooper. As you can tell, we're just cruising here. It's just neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood, and shopping centers to attach to them. You know, one of the things about the Phoenix Metro that really surprises a lot of people who are new to exploring the area, when you get on Google Maps and you type in Phoenix and you look at the map, it looks like, oh yeah, it's a good sized city. There's a couple of roads and freeways. People don't understand how big this place is. So if you go from Queen Creek up to Peoria in the northwestern part of the Phoenix Metro, that could be a 2-hour drive. So it's huge, and we have massive freeways to support it, but every little area is a little different. You know, I mean, it's all hot and sun shining and all the time, but, you know, depending on what kind of lifestyle you're looking to live, and, you know, what you're looking for, or where your job's gonna be, or maybe you already have some family or friends, or, you know, extended family or relatives down this direction, you know, you might want to, you know, give us a call so we can kind of help you focus your attention in on certain areas and tell you the honest pros and cons of different spots. They're, you know, I'm showing you obviously some of the best stuff, but I'm not going to hide the bad stuff, you know, and look, take it with a grain of salt. Bad stuff, especially in Gilbert Chandler, is kind of like, it means it's 30 or 40 years old, which there's nothing bad about that. It's just older. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to give us a call so we can talk through kind of what's going on in your world, and we can make some really good suggestions on where you might want to focus your energy and attention based on, you know, what's important to you and what, you know, you'd like to do. A really good resource besides this YouTube channel is niche.com. They've got a lot of information, school ratings, things like that. We do have a pretty complex school system, especially if you're coming from out of the area and never heard of it. We do have charter schools here in Chandler and Gilbert, which is very different for a lot of people that have come in from out of the area. So we have normal public schools, charter schools. There are a handful of private schools, mostly religious, and so you have a wide variety of options, but niche.com definitely covers a lot of that. As a real estate agent, I am never going to steer anybody one direction or the other. You know, one, it's illegal, but two, it's not what's right necessarily for you. So you're going to want to do a little bit of research and figure it out. I can give you my opinion on different areas based on, you know, how it might fit into your wants and needs. And of course, we'd be happy to have that conversation over a Zoom call, or if you're in town, over lunch at the office. So right here on the right, whole brand new neighborhood. They're literally putting in the streets and the curbs and the gutters, lots of new construction down here. you're gonna want to check out that Gilbert new construction video, kind of get an idea what's going on. It gives you a pretty good flavor and taste of what you can get at different price ranges. You know, everything from like $500-600 range to I think $2 or $3 million. So here we go, Ocotillo and Val Vista, we're crossing over. So again, if you're looking at Google Maps and you kind of want to see what this looks like, here we are. Now you'll notice the road just changed pretty dramatically. Went from a nice 4-lane with a turn, now we're on a 2-lane road. A lot of older homes on both sides of us here. Some of these neighborhoods, you know, are non-HOA neighborhoods and larger lots where people have horses. Like I said, traditionally this was a farming area, which is rapidly not, you know, it's becoming not that. It's more of, you know, people will still have horses out here for sure, but more and more, you know, it's probably not even safe to be out here on a horse just because there are a number of cars where it used to be a lot of gravel roads. Here on the left, you can see, you know, a nice, beautiful riding arena. Circle G Ranches is a very popular development. In fact, on our website, which is phoenixareahome.com, we get so many people searching Circle G Ranches for sale as a keyword. There's multiple Circle G Ranch developments. They all, well, some have HOAs, some don't. So it gets confusing. Some are newer than others, but they are spread out. There's about 7 different Circle G neighborhoods in the Tempe, Chandler, and Gilbert area. So we'd be happy to kind of walk you through the different options as far as Circle G is concerned. But typically, Circle G Ranches, you're gonna find large, basically 1-acre estate size homes, a lot of which will have swimming pools and horse facilities. And then throughout the neighborhood of Circle G, you're gonna have, you know, riding areas that are specifically set up and designed for the neighbors to share as a community amenity, so you can kind of cruise around and go horseback riding right out of your house. No trailers, no driving anywhere required. So just so you can see, we turned left just a minute ago. This is Greenfield. We're heading north right now on Greenfield. I forgot to announce it earlier, but we are officially in Gilbert right now. Just kind of cruising and drive through. Gilbert definitely does have, you know, employment and some employment centers, but for the most part, Gilbert just has lots of really nice neighborhoods. And the majority of people that live in Gilbert that, you know, aren't retired or you know, work for a living, they typically are commuting somewhere else. Unless you work like in a local grocery store or, you know, a handful of the local companies, a huge number of people that live in Gilbert definitely do jump on the 202 freeway or commute out of here. So Gilbert is, in my opinion, way more just housing developments, family friendly oriented, lots and lots of families here. Not that, you know, Chandler definitely is also very family friendly, but Chandler also has a much more sizable, you know, business presence. In fact, recently we met with the economic development guys from the city of Chandler, and they kind of laid out the 6 key industries that they, you know, work very hard to attract more of. And their theory about, you know, all of this is that if they can attract these high-paying jobs and keep them here, all of the other really cool stuff, the restaurant scene, you know, that will take care of itself. So some business or some city governments will work hard to attract restaurants, entertainment, and things like that. The city of Chandler is very, very focused on attracting high-end business services, engineering, high-tech manufacturing, which all have very high-paying jobs. And then, you know, the economy will take care of itself at that point as far as all the family-friendly fun stuff and amenities and things that people are into. And personally, I think that's pretty smart and just makes sense. But here we are, Gilbert Regional Park. This opened up only right before COVID or during COVID, really. They have an amphitheater, they have event lawns, they have tons of pickleball courts over here. 4th of July event, you can see all these trash cans that are still out here from that event. In fact, you had to like book to get an appointment. You got sand volleyball over here to the right, ample parking. I'm gonna cut through here. Obviously, it's gonna be a little bit quiet today just because it is 114. But check this out, holy smoke, the splash pad still has a bunch of people here. I'm just gonna pull up and you can see from my dash cam, a ton of kids, parents, incredible. Well, it just goes to show that no matter how hot it gets here, families are having a good time and hanging out. If you're coming from a cold weather place where you're stuck indoors at 20 below zero in the winter, well, this is the other extreme, but that's what the other extreme looks like. It looks like hanging out at the park, playing in the water with your kids. I can't think of anything better than that, honestly. Like I said, I did 10 years of working in North Dakota and living up there, and I miss several of the people, but I don't miss anything about the weather and the environment. It doesn't get any better than this. So if you're kind of worried about how hot it gets here in the summer, one, it's a dry heat. In fact, one of the agents on our team, she just recently moved here from Houston, Texas, and she straight up told me, she's like, 115 degrees in Arizona feels cooler than 95 degrees in Houston with humidity by a lot. This dryness just basically, you know, as long as you're hydrated and you have access to AC when you want to cool off, it really is oddly comfortable. But that humidity definitely not so much. All right, so we're back to where we were, just looped around. I'm gonna drive around on the other side of this park. To see more of this park, as of filming this driving tour, our top video on our YouTube channel was living in Gilbert. Go back and check out that video if you haven't already done so, and you'll be able to see, you know, a walking tour and checking out a lot of this this park specifically. So we do have a big pond, which you can see the distance. That's part of the park. You have a large ramada, and then you have the amphitheater with the event lawn. This is the backside of the mountain for the kiddos to climb up and do slides and jungle gym, and you just have immense amounts of parking. You come here on a Sunday park. We have little kiddos, so we use a stroller and we stroll right into there underneath that pedestrian bridge. This park is just absolutely set up for families to just enjoy and have a good time, no matter what the temperature is. Like I said, this is some extreme heat we have right now, and while it is quieter than normal, there's still a healthy number of people just hanging out here. So that's Gilbert Regional Park, guys. All right, so next up, I want to take you guys to, let's see, where should we go? Let's go to Santan Village. That's the main shopping center for Gilbert. One thing I always do, even though I know how to get there, I always plug addresses into my GPS on Google Maps, just because road closures happen and it might be a little bit quicker to go one way or the other. So that's what I was doing here, plugging in the address. So one thing I think is really cool as somebody who likes to do a lot of do-it-yourself projects, everywhere you go, there's a Lowe's, a Home Depot, an Ace Hardware. And maybe there's some other ones that I'm not thinking of right now, but those are the three major ones that you never have to go very far at all, no matter where you live in this area, to have access to all three of them usually, you know, within a pretty reasonable distance. So, you know, if you're gonna do any projects or, you know, remodeling or, you know, whatever it is that you like to do, you're definitely gonna have quick access to all of those, usually within 10 minutes or less. Same thing with Costco. If you're a Costco fan, Costco is literally everywhere. So when I lived in North Dakota, the nearest Costco to where we were at was in Billings, Montana. They've since built one in Bismarck, North Dakota. Both of those are like hours away each direction from Williston, North Dakota. But what I thought was super cool is being here, I think there's, in the whole Phoenix metro, there's like there's over 25, I think, Costco locations. There's 3 locations within a 12-minute drive of my house, and I live in North Chandler. Maybe 15 minutes. We'll have to pull out the map and see for sure. All right, so Gilbert Regional Park was behind us. We're up here at Queen Creek and Greenfield. We're gonna hang a right on Greenfield and head up north to the 202 and connect over to Santan Village, where you'll see Topgolf, the shopping center and mall, and, you know, all of the shopping entertainment that you know, you could expect to want to have in a high-end affluent community such as this. So here we are, Greenfield and Germain. So this is one of those names that if you end up living in this area, it looks like German. How do you pronounce that anyway? Well, it's Germain, so it's G-E-R-M-A-N-N. So that's Germain Road. It runs east and west, and we're about to cross over it. The other one, the Ocotillo, it's actually pronounced Ocotillo. And Ocotillo, which we drove through the Ocotillo neighborhood earlier, that is a type of cactus. It's a long, stringy looking cactus. You can go to Google Images and type in Ocotillo, and or just type in Ocotillo cactus. That way you don't get to see a bunch of pictures of the neighborhood or neighborhoods, and you'll see that. So again, here in Gilbert, lots of beautiful neighborhoods, large homes, clubhouses, master plan communities. This is Somerset right here to the right, which is a really large master plan community with several sub neighborhoods. Again, in the Gilbert new construction video, which was posted recently, you can see a tour of some of that new construction and what you can expect in some of these newer neighborhoods. Of course, here in Gilbert, the Latter-day Saints Church, they have a temple. I haven't personally visited the temple, but I understand there's a lot of really nice, like, Christmas time events, lights, things like that. I'm sure you can check out their website and see, you know, what events they have going on, but definitely a landmark here in the area. Okay, so here we are, about to cross over the 202 Loop Freeway. We're not gonna go on the freeway, we're just crossing over, but every kind of shopping you could want, every kind of restaurant you could think of, you name it, it's probably here. We're gonna turn onto Market Street here, just kind of do a quick drive-through of the area just so you can kind of see what's going on. So these are a lot of the smaller, you know, shopping areas. You know, you've got your bank locations and patio furniture, which that's one thing you want to budget for. Patio furniture, at least good quality stuff, is going to run you, it's a lot more expensive than I thought. But when you live half the year or more outdoors, it's not a bad investment. Portillo's, that just opened up recently. I know that's a big deal. Of course, every major chain of burgers, Whataburgers, In-N-Out Burgers, they're all here. Chick-fil-A's are everywhere. Williams Field Road. So, fun fact, the Mesa Gateway Airport used to be called Williams Field. It was a World War II airport. It's not far from here, but this road maintained the name Williams Field. So, guys, we're gonna do a U-turn here quickly. We're gonna head by a Main Event, which are some of my favorite spots to bring friends and family to when they're visiting from out of town. So one of the biggest takeaways that I hope you get from this video is that while we're in the car here for well over an hour touring all of this, when we actually find you the perfect location and area for, you know, your future home, everything that you want on a day-to-day basis is going to be within 10 minutes of your house. Doesn't matter where we go, really. Pretty much everything's going to be in a 10-minute drive. There are obviously exceptions, specialty clinics and things like that, or if you want to go to a special store, you know, at one of the major shopping malls, maybe you got to drive a little further away. But generally speaking, you know, there's pockets and areas that are better or worse than others for different reasons, but everything has been built here in the last 30 years basically, or less, and it's been really well designed and laid out, you know, with people and day-to-day living in mind. So, you know what, on our way to Topgolf, which is just around the corner, I want to take you guys through the actual Santan Village Mall, which is here. So one thing about this mall compared to the one that we saw earlier at the beginning of this video in Chandler is that everything's outdoors. So in the winter months, well, let's say 10 months, you know, 9-10 months of the year, it's absolutely perfect. It's a little bit warm right now, but that doesn't stop people from coming out and shopping. You got misters, as you can see, outside of a lot of these businesses. Let's go ahead and navigate and turn left here with these guys. Bourbon and Bones Chop House Steakhouse, awesome restaurant if you're celebrating. Another really good restaurant is DC Steakhouse. That's Downtown Chandler Steakhouse is what it's short for, but they're in downtown Chandler. I think there's a new steakhouse opening soon. Let's go and hang a right here. You know, this shopping center feels a lot like a small town, you know, with all the shops running up and down, especially with parking right in front of them. Definitely feels like a small town, but endless shops. I brought my family out here during Christmas last year, and let's let them go. They had several of these streets closed down with a bunch of street vendors. It was super cool. And it wasn't even that cold. You know, we're talking 60s, maybe 70s on some days in the winter, so it's absolutely perfect, really. This is Santan Village. All these little shops would be the equivalent of little shops inside of an enclosed mall, but you'd walk around outside, and of course you've got your Macy's and Dillard's and a few, let's see, is there a Best Buy here? I can't remember off the top of my head. All right, well, let's get out of here and let's head over to pass by Topgolf and Main Event so you can see what that area looks like. Oh, the other, yeah, there we go. Nordstrom Rack, Barnes & Noble, Dick's, Dillard's, Harkins. Yeah, there's a Best Buy and a Macy's. So those are your major anchor tenants, but there's tons of every other type of retailer and restaurant here as well. More trees, more green, no sand. So you can see the fence is up high for the golf balls. That's Topgolf. So if you've never been to a Topgolf, it's basically a driving range with some really nice seating areas behind where you would knock the golf balls off into. Great restaurant, bar food, drinks, but also it's a digital game where you can score points and, you know, get instant feedback on your swings and your shots. Actually, that's Ray Road. Yeah, we're gonna go down here. Kind of got confused there for a second where I wanted to go. So we're gonna hang a right here on Ray. One of my favorite neighborhoods, which is also in 2 other videos on our channel, Agritopia. You got the Living in Gilbert video, which gives a little brief overview, and one of the residents, agents on our team, Cooper, he gives us a tour, and of course I did a map tour essentially, but I'm gonna just real quick just do a drive-through in Agritopia. Agritopia is one of those neighborhoods that homes do not come on the market very often, and when they do, they are gone immediately. In fact, a lot of times they don't even get listed publicly because people are just talking with their families and their neighbors, and they'll say, hey, look, if you just sell it to my family member who's moving into town, we'll pay you way more than what you were thinking you wanted because it's that desirable. But here we go. This is one of the most beautiful neighborhoods, in my opinion, in Gilbert. Kids can go out rollerblading, bicycling. I think it's rated one of the safest neighborhoods. I feel it just feels safe. You know, if you have kids and you want to let them go play, it's like, yeah, go play. Everybody knows everybody. One thing that's interesting about this particular neighborhood, no investment properties are allowed. Meaning, if you own a property here, it has to be owner occupied. You cannot buy a property and rent it out to third parties. So everyone who lives here owns their home. I don't know of very many neighborhoods that do that. It definitely creates a different environment, different vibe. And yeah, honestly, I think it's a good thing. I mean, I know investors, you know, there's other places to invest, apartment buildings, things like that, but not in Agritopia. And that's one of the things that makes it a special neighborhood to live in. Let's see, can I squeeze down this alleyway? Here we go. We're gonna head over here to the north edge of Agritopia, just kind of spot the parks. There's a soccer field up here. Of course, you got street after street in here of just really beautiful homes. A lot of these homes actually have basements, which is wonderful this time of year. You can have a family room down there and just hang out a little bit cooler. You know, air conditioning settles down lower, so it should be a little bit more comfortable underground that way. There's a soccer field, sand volleyball, playground. Basketball court, full basketball court. All right, so next neighborhood, we're gonna cruise over to Morrison Ranch. Morrison Ranch has got a lot of things that are similar to this one, but here in Agritopia, of course, check out my other video. You can see Joe's Farm Grill and all the other really cool amenities that are special and unique to Agritopia. But Morrison Ranch has a lot of, walking paths, bicycle paths, things like that that are not next to the street that cars drive on. So you get the same safe feeling and vibe, but it's even safer in my opinion, just because you're not gonna be cruising around a bunch of other cars as your kids are bicycling, or maybe you want to ride a longboard, something like that. And here we are, we pop right out of the neighborhood. Shopping center, coffee shop, nutrition, backyard taco, which is right outside of Agritopia. Super fun spot to eat. Again, if you're following along on a map, right in front of us, going north and south, this is Higley Road. We're gonna turn left onto Higley and head north. All right, so we're coming up on Morrison Ranch. If it's in your field of view on the dash cam, you can see the silos. If not, you'll see them here in a second. These have been in numerous Christmas photos, anniversary photos, Lakeview Trails at Morrison Ranch. So super beautiful. This is a fairly new area of the Morrison Ranch 3,000 acre master plan community. So these trees are still quite small, but imagine 10, 15 years from now when they're big, overshadowing, and you're driving down this tunnel right here of green. So back when this was actually a farm, those are the legit actual grain silos that were used. Now they're just, you know, really nice looking and part of a community park, neighborhood park, managed and, you know, controlled by the HOA. In a minute here, we're going to pass from this newer section to a little bit older section of Morrison Ranch where you're gonna see the mature trees and how different it gets. So we got little trees and now we go, bang, bigger trees. So you can see what you know, a decade or so would do. Now I'm in the shade. We were 114 degrees earlier. Here it's 108. That's a significant difference. Let's go ahead and turn down. Let's turn right here just to show you kind of what a typical street looks like. All these parks interspersed in between houses, so the kids don't ever have to go hardly far at all for any particular park they want to see or play at. So like I mentioned, Morrison Ranch is 3,000 acres. It's huge. There's 9 different neighborhoods within the master plan. So I'm just kind of showing you a couple of small ones briefly just to give you a taste of what it's like. You can tell, here's even older, look at these trees. Here we go, and we're about to cross over into total shade. I'm watching the thermometer to see if it even drops a little bit more. All of this is real grass, real trees. At 108 in the shade like this, 107, it's already dropping. I'm not surprised. This is a very, very comfortable neighborhood to live in. And if you are thinking about moving or relocating, and this looks like a neighborhood that might be a good fit for you, let us know. We'd love to formally introduce you to it and let you know if we have any homes coming available that aren't yet publicly listed. Our company, My Home Group, we're one of the largest brokerages in the Phoenix Metro. I think we're the second largest. We have about 3,000 agents, so it's not uncommon that I can get early access to information about listings that are coming up. We have private, internal groups that we can chat and message each other with. So, if you want to live in this neighborhood, I'll definitely reach out to my contacts and say, hey, I've got a client moving in and they want to be in Morrison Ranch. So what do you guys got coming on the market soon? And like I said, a lot of times we can put together deals and find you the ideal home before you have to compete with multiple offers. Now, I will be transparent. Not competing with multiple offers doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get a house for cheaper or a better deal. A lot of times the deal is that you get the house and not somebody else. Being one of the most desirable neighborhoods and areas and towns, not only in the Phoenix Metro, but probably in the entire United States, the reality is, if you're going to, move here and live here, especially depending on what kind of neighborhood you're looking for, there's a very good chance that you're not going to get the first home you make an offer on, even in 2023 with 7% interest rates. Now, I don't know when you're watching this video, but that's what was going on. And a lot of people have this misconception that say, well, no one's buying or selling homes. Like, well, that's absolutely false. And there's definitely it's definitely not easy to get the perfect home right now. So you're definitely going to want to have an agent who's part of a team that can definitely, do that research and find those homes that aren't going to be easy to get to. So, all right. So last but not least, here in Gilbert, there's a lot that I could show you guys, but I think we're going to head over to historic downtown. We're going to just do a quick drive through of that area so that you can really see what that looks like. And then the next best step, guys, click the link in the description below in this video to book a one-on-one Zoom call where we can talk about what's going on, what you're thinking, what your plans are, or you can give me a call, shoot me an email, send a text message. All of this on both sides of us, this is all still Morrison Ranch. We're just out here on the main arterial crossing over between them. But you can see the double rail white picket fences. There's shopping centers attached to this neighborhood that you can literally bicycle to without ever having to cross paths with cars. Super cool. So now we're out of Morrison Ranch and we've got still just more beautiful neighborhoods. So just being completely transparent, guys, like I've got the AC on in my car here. It's, we're back up to 110 degrees outside of that shade. And yeah, I've been driving with you now for about an hour and a half. Obviously this video is gonna be a little shorter because we got time lapsing. But yeah, you get warm. I'm coughing a little bit. I probably need to grab some water. But on days like this, which this isn't every day, you're talking 6-8 weeks where you get some pretty extreme temperatures. But as long as you're in your house and your AC and your swimming pool, you're not typically going to be in the car for long periods of time like we are right now. So it's not really that big of a deal. The bottom half of my body, like my legs, I got air conditioning down the floor. I'm wearing flip-flops right now and my toes are actually cold. I'm feeling a little bit warm up here just because I got direct sunlight coming through the windshield. That just kind of gives you an idea of what it's like. It's not, nowhere is perfect. And the weather here definitely is warm in the summer. It's definitely something you're going to want to have to contend with, but it's, it literally is a dry heat as compared to Florida or Texas. We get a lot of Californian clients, leaving California and they're trying to compare options. And, I'll just touch on that real quick. Florida is great. But again, humidity. Texas is great, except for the fact that they have property taxes like what you would experience in California or even higher. Property taxes in Texas are massive. So if you're kind of shopping on Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin and you're looking at houses here in Gilbert and Chandler, you're like, well, look, the same size house in a similar looking neighborhood is like way less expensive in Houston or Dallas Fort Worth or something like that. Well, the sticker price, the price you pay for the house, sure, might be less, but your operating costs, meaning the amount of money you're going to spend per month to live there, way higher with Texas just because the property taxes. So, I mean, we can get a calculator out and do the math, but let's say a $500,000 house in Texas might be the equivalent to like a $700,000 or $750,000 home here in Gilbert or Chandler, but your monthly payment's the same, even with the same interest rates. Well, comes down to your property taxes and how that fits in with Texas. Now, Texas has, you know, a lot of other taxes are lower, but property taxes are going to get you. So if you're looking for a larger, like a state-like home, yeah, Texas might not be right for you. Maybe it is. One thing nice about Arizona, it's definitely a lot shorter drive to head east or, you know, or southeast, depending if you're coming from the Bay Area. I got another client, she's coming out here to check the area out here pretty soon. She's never been here. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, is I get this question so often, that what's it like there? So this video is hopefully gonna help you guys see that. So those of you that are following along, we're about to cross back over Greenfield, which we were driving on earlier, but we're currently driving west on Guadalupe. So we got another 3 miles, and then we're gonna turn left on Gilbert Road, head down through downtown Gilbert, and that's gonna be a wrap for this video. But I do want you guys to see the water tower, downtown Gilbert. Again, the Living in Gilbert video. It's not a driving tour. We highlight and spot things. It's a very fun video. So if you haven't already watched that, make sure, you know, when you're done watching this, to go back and check that out. It'll give you a really nice overview of some of the best things about Gilbert and the general area. So we just passed a neighborhood called Val Vista Lakes. There's several waterfront property neighborhoods, especially in northern Gilbert. You got the Islands, Val Vista Lakes, 2 of the largest ones anyways. And if you're looking about waterfront property where you could have a pontoon boat, hang out with the neighbors and cruise around from place to place, those are definitely options that you might want to look into. Look at that, we're back up to 112 degrees. So there's a huge advantage of living in a neighborhood full of trees like we saw at Morrison Ranch and several others. That's just one of many neighborhoods that are set up that way. Of course, full transparency, most of these neighborhoods that have a lot of landscaping also have typically higher HOA bills and higher home prices, but it's kind of obvious why. So up in the distance, you can see the water tower coming into off to the right-hand side. I think right next to us, there's a new, what are they building here? Heritage Park? Oh yeah, really large outdoor gathering place. Downtown Gilbert's about to get a lot bigger. So right here, there's a canal trail, Gilbert Road trail crossing. So a lot of people will drive or ride bicycles or, you know, go for a run or a hike. Not necessarily running or hiking so much in this weather, but the rest of the year, definitely. So up here on the left, we have Culinary Dropout. On the right, Barrio Queen, which is a really popular local chain of Mexican restaurants. Super awesome, good food. Again, we have a separate video, Living in Gilbert, where we start right here in downtown Gilbert. Whiskey Row, that's Dierks Bentley, the country singer. That's one of his restaurants. It's a really fun bar with live stage and live music. You got The Porch, you got Snooze, Joyride Taco, you got Joe's Real Barbecue here on the left. That's one of the most, it's been there for a long, long time, since the 90s. And of course, a couple other restaurants and bars and spots. So downtown Gilbert, not huge, but super, super fun. And we just stayed on the main drag. We didn't go off to the east and west. We're just on the north-south here. So you're definitely gonna wanna use one of the several parking garages and parking lots to get out, explore, grab dinner, grab some drinks, meet with a friend for coffee. Looked like it was a little quieter than normal, but then again, it's 6 o'clock on a Thursday and it's 112 degrees. So, it's definitely not quiet, but, definitely, it's definitely busier the rest of the year when you're, in the single digit hundreds, not a big deal, or, anything below that. So guys, hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like to drive around Chandler and Gilbert. I touched on a lot of the highlights. Just being totally honest, there really aren't any quote unquote bad areas. There are a couple of areas, I can think of one in Chandler in particular that's near my office, where you definitely have people that are of significantly lower income, even poverty in that area. But the deal is, even though those areas look a little bit dilapidated and run down, which we didn't film it, we didn't drive through there, you never feel unsafe. That's just one thing about Chandler and Gilbert that's just so different. There really aren't any bad areas. So if you're thinking about moving or relocating here to Gilbert or Chandler, or really anywhere else in the Phoenix metro area, you can seriously pick up the phone, give us a call, shoot us an email, send us a text message, reach out to us, whatever way works best for you. We'd love to be able to talk with you and figure out how to best help you make that move as seamless as possible, and make that move as to the right location that's best for you. So until the next video, guys, catch you on the next one.